Hey, Mr. Burnett, we are live. Are you ready to do this thing, brother? Oh man, Mr. Burnett, the froze over from the beginning. I'm gonna say yes for him. Let's do this thing, y'all. Mr. Burnett, are you there with me?
Right.
There we go. All right, let's kick it.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
TV, giving you what you need. Motivation, education unleashed. H-Town representing, we forever keep it rolling. Join the conversation with inspirational stories. Thought-provoking, feel that energy. Kendrick Thomas aiming to lift the community. True indeed, tune in, come and see. Giving you what you need. KTTV, let's go. KTTV.
Look, man, if there was a podcast awards for best intro, they should definitely be calling me. What it do, KTTV? This is KT, and you're tuned into another episode of Education Unleashed. And on tonight, I have the man himself, middle school counselor, God bless his soul, Mr. John Burnett. How you doing tonight, Mr. John? Uh-oh, he froze on us. Oh, there we go. How you doing, Bell?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Kendrick?
Hey, man, I won't complain, man. I know we're working on them technical difficulties over there, but that's what I love so much, man, about going live.
What's going on?
Yeah, man. Hey, that's all good. We'll work through it, and if we can't, I'm pretty sure the viewers will understand, and we'll make it happen, man. Like I say, technology is a wonderful thing when it works, but you know the age we in right now. My God,
And it works.
Hey, that's it, man. Oh yeah, it's still freezing up. Okay. And is it on the Wi-Fi or how is it? Okay, y'all. Look, we still going. Like I told y'all, Mr. Burnett is a middle school counselor. He had me come over to Spring Branch before I talk to the kids. And so, just thinking about that world of middle school, I said tonight, we got to talk about social media. Having middle schools in the building, I kind of see a little bit of that in my personal life, dealing with a middle schooler. And so that phone, we know that phone is their lifeline, right? And so it was just so special to be able to kind of come in Mental Health Awareness Month, kind of talk about what we're doing with the young people, Education Unleashed, of course. So we got to talk about the schoolhouse, but understanding the importance. Last night, it was all about mental health, building those pieces inside of your school, supporting schools, mental health liaison. And so tonight, if we can get Mr. Burnett up and running, we will definitely be talking about some of the pieces that he provides with us. So we're going to check everything out. Yes, sir.
I think I'm almost ready. I had to go through my phone. I done went through two computers.
Hey, man.
Give me just a second. I think my phone is what's going to be the sweet spot.
Hey, man, well, there is a will. There is a way.
Okay, can you see and hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Very perfect.
There we go. This is what we're going to have to do. I'm ready to
Hey,
talk.
man. Look, man, let's make it happen, man. First off, like I say, we work through those. I told you, we'll understand. So, man, how are you? And, man, how have you been doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. We have about 16 more days of school, so that makes it all the more better.
Hey, man, I'm talking about if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I've been ready for this conversation because this is a very important topic, and Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's just there's so many families and students who need this information. So I'm ready to talk.
Yeah, man. I was telling them, like I said before you got on, just the importance of that social media. You think about middle school, high school too, but middle school is just really getting that punch of telephone, social media, reaching out to the world, and then that independence too. Like I say, still professional elementary kids to me, man.
Right. No matter what age, they still, especially the things that are going on in the world with COVID and how, students were out of school for a couple years and social skills were behind, and now we're just trying to play catch up academically and socially.
And like I said, man, before we get into just the meat of it, I always like to build up that background for the guests so that people can always understand that you're not just talking it, but this is what you live. This is what you do, man. So give us a little bit of background on you and some of your experience that led you to a counselor.
So my name is John Burnett. I currently live in Houston, Texas, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. You probably hear it in my accent. But I started, this is my 12th year in education. I was a middle school Spanish teacher, elementary school counselor, middle school counselor, assistant principal, and I even started some work in mental health. And so over the course of all those positions, I've learned a lot about what students, families, communities need as far as their mental health and taking care of their emotional well-being.
Yeah, nice. Nice. And so then, man, like I say, how long have you been back at the middle school? Because it sounds like you've been moving around and doing a few good experiences. And the good part is they all build on each other, especially jumping into that admin world, then coming back to that counseling side of the admin. So how long have you been doing middle school, man? And as a brother who's in high school, how do you stay sane?
I actually love middle school. Middle school is my jam. I love elementary too, but I really love middle school because you can have higher level conversations with them. This is my 3rd year at my current school and middle school, and I've actually cycled with them. So when they started in 6th grade, I've been their counselor up until now. They're 8th grade and they're about to go off to high school.
Man, and just being able to do that cycle, you think about when we have teachers that do it and the relationships that it build until by, like you say, by year 3, you kind of know your people that you need to look for, and that support is way more individualized and efficient, man. So, wow, congratulations on being able to just get that experience with them, So, man, tonight is all about social media. And how it affects the student well-being, right? So that's the first question I'm just going to start with, man.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, how does social media affect our mental health and emotional well-being?
In so many ways, and I actually see it because our students, they'll be walking during transition to go to their classes and phones in their hands, can't even walk straight because their eyes are glued to their phones, and that's their entire world. And I get it. That's their sense of being connected and finding out what's going on, and even their coping skills. But I definitely see how it has impacted their mental health, which I'm sure we're going to get into.
Most definitely, man. And being able to just, like I say, luckily I'm at the alternative school, so we can't really do the phones like that because I believe that it will be the same. I think about all the kids at whatever grade level, all the way down to elementary. Everybody got that phone in the backpack. Yeah. And so some of my football players who were elementary, I would see them post. They would follow me on Instagram or something. But like they are so tired. And so when you think about being glued to that phone, that makes me think about warning signs, right? Yeah. So what are some warning signs that indicate that this social media is impacting our mental health and sometimes for the worse?
Well, I've also seen how the students, they're so engrossed in likes and validation from people who are on social media, whether it's their friends or whether it's complete strangers. And when they don't get the likes that they deserve or think they deserve on a post-it, or even if they have a text message to a friend and they leave it on read, that is big for them. And it just really affects their whole sense of well-being, even to the point where they're comparing their lives to other people, not understanding that on social media, you can post what you want to post and you let people see sometimes the things that are not even real.
Yeah. Most of the time. Most of the time. And so did y'all, like, let's say do y'all have a BYOD policy or anything in place where students, like it's free use of the phone? I'm using it for class, but I can have it out during class too? Or is it just in the hallway?
We've had that policy a couple years ago, but they abused it to the point where they weren't even able to use it. And they're technically not supposed to have them anyway. But, when they're going in transition, sometimes you just let them do it as long as they're not causing an issue.
Okay. Man, that is something, man. And so with that, I think a piece of that is just understanding that we do have some good habits that can be built around them.
Yeah.
But as the world we live in now, I really don't see a lot of people focusing on that part of the social media. Like you say, it's a lot about those likes and that validation. And I've seen it.
Yeah.
Even in his high school now, I'm starting to see students. Really, that's where it go down. So the social media, they're recording the fights.
Yeah.
They're in each other inboxes. They're sending these group chats of
Yep.
mean girl messages. How can we build healthy habits around social media to just simply promote mental well-being?
Well, it starts with information, not just with the students, with the staff, but sharing it with the families too. And I was reading a study where it says, social media students, 11 through 13 young girls are affected by social media, and boys are 14 to 15. And of course, their brains are still developing at that age, and so
Yeah.
they're getting these wrong ideas of life. So I definitely believe it starts with informing families of the dangers of, not the dangers, but necessarily like overusing social media and relying on technology. We were talking about mental health and how it affects things. These students, to the point where they don't even go to sleep at night sometimes because they've got their phone constantly scrolling, can't put it down, not realizing that that's an addiction.
Yeah.
And so I just believe it starts with information. If we can get families in the door of the school, sit them down, share some information, not to the point where we're trying to scare them, but just to educate them so that they can build better habits for themselves and for their students.
Yeah. That's what we talk about a lot too with that vaping, man.
Oh, yeah.
Got to share information, right? Just I'm gonna give you the opportunity to know what this does. And so the same with that social media, man, just being able to have them understand early, because it seems like, a lot of these places, they should be 18 and up,
They're
but it seems
supposed to
like
be.
that doesn't matter. Like, and so I don't know if it's the parents setting up the account. Well, I know for one of my students, his parent ran that account, right? He was very good with football. And so she did take over until he got maybe to high school where he can kind of do it himself. But are you seeing a big shift of students becoming younger, like your sixth graders coming in already social
Oh,
media
definitely.
addicted?
Definitely. On our campus also, they'll make these fake accounts. I don't know if you've seen it on your campus, but they'll make like a school account that says shoes, or school account for like students who are sleeping, and they'll catch them and snap pictures of them. So it's also a form of cyberbullying, because we're seeing so many things where you can't really identify who started the account because they're basically ghost accounts.
Yeah. They call them burners at my school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my burner account.
Yep.
Oh my God, man.
And so, they have that age limit where you're supposed to be a certain age to where you can use it. But all you have to do is check a box. So anybody can go on and create a social media account, and you can use it without really having to identify yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest pieces, man. And so then when we look at that, I don't know how much role that we have as educators, but I know parents have the biggest role. And so a lot of the times it's parent education as well. Like you say, it's that information, putting it out, right? And so what role do you feel in your expertise, especially working with the middle school who are firstly gaining their independence, can parents and educators help them in maybe navigating social media in a healthy way?
Well, I always tell people there's some good to social media too. So if you want to use your social media for good, you can post creative things. We got a lot of students who love art, who love music, who love different things. Showcase those things. Do something creative with your social media where you're actually, inspiring the lives of other people, or even doing it for your own self-expression. Those are ways to healthily use social media and technology.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we got to talk about what that work you got going over there, John. So I'm going all the way back to, was it 2018?
Which
with
part?
the Today Show?
Oh no, it was actually this year.
Oh, that was this year.
August.
Last year.
August of last year.
Come on, man. So when we think about social ways, healthy ways, talk about a little bit of the getting on the Today Show and then the content that you create.
So that was kind of random, honestly. I was just checking my email one day, and I saw a message from NBC. And so my first thought is, this is probably spam, but let me open it anyway.
Yeah.
And so I started reading, and I was like, okay, still I had to go on LinkedIn and check out who sent me the message. And I saw that they really were a producer for NBC. And I was like, oh, wow, this is for real.
Okay.
So they wanted to fly me out. They took me to New York City, and I filmed my segment. And it was basically about getting families ready to go back to school. So what can students and families do? And it was really a positive experience to really share how important it is to get students and families ready to go back. So I really, really enjoyed it. And they reached out to me because of my YouTube channel and my Twitter and all the things that I post, because I post short form content on Instagram and TikTok about like mental health and school counseling and education in general. But I also have a YouTube channel that I share information with other educators just to give them tools and tricks to, navigate this thing that we call education.
Man, and when I tell you, it is definitely something that's needed to be navigated. But that's what I was saying, like the content. So social media can be used for good. And
Yeah.
I don't know if kids understand that part of it. I guess because of the age they're in. I'm
Yeah.
really not trying to inspire anyone, motivate anybody. I really just want to show off for my friends. But when I tell you, man, it is killing us, like
Yeah.
literally. And so I just always think about that. But another part you talked about earlier was comparing, right?
Yeah.
And so you think about the challenges that go on. You think about the trends that start.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's a lot of the and we talk about that a lot when we talk about stocks, but the FOMO,
Yeah.
right? The fear of missing out. So
Mm-hmm.
what are some tips for managing the FOMO and comparison on social media?
So I tell my students, even now, I tell them, you do your social media for you. And if you're doing something for other people, of course, that's great. Like if you have like content that you want to share, but it should be for you. And so that's why it's dangerous to compare yourself to other lives of, people on social media, because anybody can get on there and post a picture and that's not necessarily the life that they're living. They're trying to portray an image to make, get a rise out of someone. So
Yeah. Yeah, and do you deal with that? I guess, man, that's middle school life, though. Do they do a lot of that in person too?
they do a little bit, yeah. It's just
Yeah.
more so like social media though, because that's where
Okay.
everything is. That's where they find out all their information. That's where they watch TV. That's where they get all of their news. That's everything. That's their entire world. And when you think back, even at our age, we had things that we were like really passionate about and things like that when we were growing up. But one thing that they're lacking is the social part of it. The social media is the technology, but the social things that they're missing out on, like interactions with people, social cues, picking up on like when their friends are in a, not so good mood, or even like, wondering what other people are dealing with and things like that. As far as empathy, they're missing out on those things because they're always on their phones and they're missing the personal interactions.
Mm-hmm. And as you counsel, I know you go through the day. Have you seen like a big pickup, especially post pandemic, right? Because I think that's how we all lived, and so then now you start. I don't know. Have you seen a little bit of the detachment of
It's
like just
worse,
a lot of
actually. And
pickup?
there's even research that where it says that they're still doing it now because of, it's fairly recent, but they're seeing that because of the pandemic, it's gotten worse. We were at a point where we were doing everything online. We were at home. They were doing school online, doing their work online. And some people took advantage of being at home working and, but some people didn't do so well virtually. But either way, they were on their technology all the time. They were on phones or Chromebooks, computers, tablets. And so getting them back into the school building has been it's been a transition.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, I know for my district, they started using the Schoology.
Yeah.
And so then what is that Schoology? Schoology made everybody looking just like real social media, right? They said, if you want to pull them in, let's do it. And so, so when you think about that, they also on social media, but on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
now I remember we had kids going back and forth on the Schoology,
Yep.
inboxing and bullying each other.
Yep.
Man, it was just so much, man. And so I know earlier we talked about building healthy habits around social media, but my next question is, how can we use the social media, I guess, in a healthy way itself to promote that mental health and well-being? And when I ask that question, for me, I think, like I say, a lot of what kind of post are we using? What are we really doing? But let's say if you're talking to the kids at the middle school, like, what does that conversation look like as a person of your expertise?
Well, social media is something that jobs look at your social media now. Colleges look at your social media. recruitment for athletics will look at your social media. So I always tell them, be careful of the image that you put out there, because there's some things that you think are not permanent or temporary, but we live in an age now where people can screenshot information, or you can easily recall it if it was necessary. Law enforcement can get a hold of certain posts. And so you just have to be very careful of the image and reputation that you put out there. And that's what I tell my students.
And one thing about that, like you say, that social media has become detrimental in some of our biggest cases.
Yeah.
Right. Going back, even, you're looking at the, I think it's like the Young Thug case, like a lot of the evidence, we're going through the social media. I know sometimes I look at those clips on YouTube. Well, on this date, you posted such and such, and is this you all over here? So awesome message to just make sure we're telling kids, because I don't believe that they understand that this is a permanent record for your life,
And
now,
that's just
no, I'm listening to you.
It's just, I was just seeing something recently where somebody posted something on YouTube. I forget who he was, but I was listening to the Breakfast Club, and they did the Donkey of the Day. They were talking about this guy who committed a crime, filmed it on YouTube, filmed his crime on YouTube, uploaded the video, and they're doing these things for social media likes. They're doing it for attention, and you're going to mess up your entire life because you don't realize that you're committing a crime, putting it online for everybody to see, and there's no room for, denying that it was you. And so they're doing a lot of things for likes and clout. Yeah, man. Very sad. But trust me. Now, another piece, and I think this is for the adults too, man. What is the main word they always tell you to find in life? Balance. Yeah. So now, I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm pretty sure you do too. We do a lot of work on that social media, right? Because we got to have posts. Like I said, I found you connect. We on all these platforms. And so are the kids, right? Yeah. And so how can we balance our need for the social media connectivity with our need for the time away from those screens? And I will ask, how do you do it? So with families, I encourage them to have set times where students are not allowed to use their phone. Like for family time, eating at the dinner table should be time where you're talking about your day. You're asking your students like whether they're interested in getting a good feel of their career goal, like things that, just having casual conversation to, again, increase those social skills with them. And then I always tell them too, you do what's best for you and your child, but if possible, have them put their phones away before they go to bed so that they can actually get a good night's sleep. And for myself personally, 30 minutes before I go to bed, I make sure I put my phone down. I'm trying to do better now about reading a book instead of being on a phone and scrolling, because this is something that's going to actually feed my intellect and feed my soul. And so I've been reading books now. Man, yeah, that is something, they're very good. Like you say, just shutting that thing down 30 minutes before. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am the scroller. But we all do though. So man, you got to give yourself grace, but also realize that what I'm doing for myself is I'm thinking about how much time I'm spending scrolling and what I could be doing as far as like editing my YouTube videos or like I said, reading a book or doing something for my own mental well-being or my coping skills. So as opposed to constantly being on social media, I've gotten to the point now where sometimes up until recently, my eyes had started hurting because I was scrolling on the phone so much. And I'm like, you know what? This is when it's time to take a break. Yeah. And I remember Apple having something like screen time reports. I haven't been getting screen time reports. They would definitely make you feel bad back in the day. Oh, you up 50% since last week. So that was also a way to keep yourself in check. But I do agree. Just having those times where it's simply put away the phone. I created a post one day and it said, it was for Friday. And it said, where will you stare at your phone this weekend? So, you think about going to tables or dinners and people aren't talking. Everybody's just sitting at the table waiting or either waiting to go, scrolling. So most definitely something that we need to do. Now, you also talked a lot about, a little bit earlier about cyberbullying. Yeah. So how are you doing with that just in your role? Have you seen an uptick, and how are you kind of help students manage that and parents? So I've seen an uptick, but they've gotten creative with the way they do it. a couple years ago, it used to be like you were mentioning, and they still do this too, where they were creating these group chats or taking somebody's picture and creating fake accounts with it, or sending inappropriate messages and things like that. And they're still doing those things. But now, recently, what I said is like they've taken a picture of another student and pretending to make an account for them, or posting it on these inappropriate bullying sites. Like one of them I saw, it was like, our school name depressed kids, and they'll take pictures of students who look like they're having a bad day and they'll post them. And I try my hardest to like contact Instagram and get those posts removed, but you wouldn't believe that they don't respond. Instagram doesn't take them down very easily unless it's something really, really bad. And so it's just it's crazy.
Man, now to me, man, that's some new age right there, man.
Yeah. And it's hard to prove who it is, because again, it's a burner account. You really can't even. I have to do investigation to figure out, and I don't do this as much now. I usually have my AP do this, but when I was an assistant principal, I would have to go through and like see if I can find a witness who wouldn't mind speaking up and confidentially and sharing what they know about these accounts, and then going through a whole process. I used to call myself a whole detective. I was like, I'm Batman. I got to figure out everything.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Look, it's my God. There's so many statements. And hey, look, man, that's good. Well, welcome back out of the dark side, man. I'm glad you came back over to a little light, man. Please, man.
I enjoyed it, but I learned a lot from that experience, more so working with adults and helping, coaching them. But my heart is with working with students, and I didn't like the discipline part of it, which is why I'm a counselor, because I can work with them on the decision making and different things to help them in a way where I'm not giving a consequence or doing discipline or breaking a relationship.
Yeah, and that was the type of day I had today, man. The N word came up, and it was a big disagreement between two students. Mm-hmm. And it would have been easy, banish them, the sack or something. But I really took that time out today. I pulled this young lady. We sit down and we had a nice, long, restorative conversation where we were able to just simply talk about what that word means, how it made each other feel. And then to come to find out that the young lady didn't say it then. She said it before, but because that student already had that schema and that belief that this is you, as soon as I hear something like that, then I'm already on set off. And so just having those conversations, man. So I agree with you on sometimes that information and just having that student understand how that impacts others is almost better than issuing out a consequence where they do that and go on. So say, man, I'm with you, man. I'm trying to fight the fight from this side, man.
Yeah. And like I said, social media is great. There's been a lot of positives to it, but also like with our kids, it's like they're seeing a rise in anxiety and depression because of all these things. And when you see a rise, and I saw this as a quote somewhere recently, when you see a rise in anxiety of people, empathy goes down. And so that's what makes it more difficult when you're working in a school environment, when we're seeing students who are having conflict, and it's hard for them to relate to another student because they don't have any empathy, because, hey, I'm dealing with all these things that are going on in my life. How can I have empathy for somebody else because I'm dealing with this? It's just, it's a lot. And social media plays a big part in this.
Yeah, most definitely. So now you think about that bullying and online harassment for parents who need to know what to do at the school, and for students who may be suffering in silence. How can those students, how can a parent find help? And then how can that student find help within the school community?
So it's on the school as a community to reach out. And one thing that I'm doing and starting up is having conversations with families, inviting them to the school and doing information sessions. In fact, we've got about 2 weeks left of school. I just talked to a group of students yesterday and got some interest in some different forums that I'm going to host. I'm going to invite some students to come in. And one of the topics that they wanted to know about more was harassment, conflict, and then how to respond when somebody's bothering you. But then they also wanted to talk more about like social media and anxiety and depression. So I'm going to host little mini forums, invite the students who want to come in, share that information with them. And just those things like that on a larger scale would definitely help. It's information, getting it out so you can make a better choice or a different choice.
Yeah, that man, you really answered the next question, because it was all about how do we encourage open and honest dialogue about social media and mental health, even in the communities. But like you say, those forums, right? Being able to talk, man. Okay, okay. And so now, will you involve just the students, or will that be like a parent and student, like a whole family thing?
So because we only have a couple more days of school right now, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be students. But next school year, I want to have like at least a quarterly session where families can come in and get information.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I think that is that's just a good way, man. So what's next for you, man, as we get ready to land this plane, man? What's next for you?
I'm closing out the school year, doing planning all these events. We got a field day coming up. We have a dance that I'm planning for our students just because they've been working hard. We're going to the University of Houston, so I want to take them on a college visit, which is
Oh,
part of my
cool.
job as a counselor, opening up their eyes to new possibilities and their future. But like I said, having these forums is going to be important, but also doing it from a place of not judging a family, because you always want to make sure that you never want to assume what a family knows when they come into the session. You just want to give them the information and you take with it and you do what is best for you and your family. That's my process. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure that anything information that I give out, families feel welcome. They don't feel upset or guilty for the things, but here's a judgment-free information. Take with it and make a change if you feel necessary.
hmm most definitely, man. And when looking at that, man, have you been talking a little bit more about these type of incidents on the channel? And
Yeah,
also, how do we find that information?
yeah. So I go by topics lately on like what I'm seeing in my Facebook groups where counselors and educators are having struggles with.
Yeah,
Just recently, I did a video on restorative circles.
yeah,
If you get a chance, check that out. I did a video on like I hate to use the term, but girl drama,
yeah.
like how to like resolve conflict effectively. And then I've done a series with emotions, for mental health awareness month right now. I did a video where we're talking about tips that any educator can do in the classroom, low maintenance activities. They don't cost a thing, 3 to 5 minutes, because I know instructional time is important. Very simple things like you can do, like
Mhm.
mindfulness and deep breathing exercises. Again, don't cost anything, but are so helpful for not just the students, but also the teachers. Because the one thing that we haven't talked about in this conversation is the staff need help with their mental health too.
But and that is very important.
Yeah.
And so during this month, um, are you doing anything, or in your role, how do you support the staff throughout the year with that? Because do they come in too and lay on the
Yeah, so
couch?
those forums that I mentioned earlier, like
Yeah.
about anxiety and depression, I've told my
Mhm.
staff, if you got an off period, you're more than welcome to come in and get the information too.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I'm posting videos on my YouTube channel. You can always find me, Counseling with Mr. B, for those who are listening.
Yeah.
I have Instagram with that same name, Counseling with Mr. B, and I post videos, all types of information. I just recently had a post about state testing and what educators and students can do to
Most
make sure
definitely.
that they are ready and willing to take that test and do their best. So I just share all kind of information for
Yeah.
everybody, families, students, staff, information for your mental health, for
Yeah.
academic success, post-secondary needs, all the things that I do as a counselor, because I'm a very creative person and I always try to find the ways to meet the needs of the community in whatever way that is best for them to consume the information.
Yeah. Now you talked about, and I know you don't like it, but the girl drama.
Yeah.
Look, Mr. B, I'm in high school. This is my first year. Coming back, I've been in elementary about 10 years. These girls are very, very, yeah, I will use the word catty, like intentional. When I see you in the hallway, I'm rolling these eyes.
Yeah.
In the class, we not going to talk directly about you, but you going to know we talking about you.
Mhm.
What? And I'm asking for myself, please help me. What did you give as far as advice on how to handle that within the school? Because I know somebody else needs this right
I'm so glad you asked that question. Because last year and this year, what I've done is I've just hosted a session for girls. I invited very small group of girls who were the ones who were I've heard from as teachers and even other students who were the most repeat offenders. And we just did circles. We did lots of empowering exercises. We did a lot of self-esteem things. We did some positive affirmations, and we just did a lot of team building exercises. And when you do those things and you build them up, then they can go out and make different choices. Like we did a lot of like powerful affirmations, and that really helped.
Look, that has already gave me an idea, because I do so much work with boys clubs, things like that. But I'm seeing, like you say, maybe if these young ladies had an outlet like this, where we can kind of show that we are all human, because like I say, we promote the boys and I work with the boys on the campus, but not necessarily those young ladies.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is that may be the place to focus, something like that. So, man, good work.
And you know what? When we get off this call, I'm gonna send you a picture of this book that I use. I forget. It has an acronym. It's GIRLS. Yeah. But it has a bunch of different activities, very, very easy activities. They even have all the printouts. They have the instructions, and they are powerful. And I use these often. And I'm going to send you that book. When I tell you it's a powerful book to use for any group of girls at any age, they have an elementary book and they have a secondary book. But it's a great book, and it will positively transform the culture at your school.
Yeah, man, most definitely. I appreciate that, Mr. B. Man, mental health is very important. As Ms. Fristow said last night, the biggest thing she's seeing right now is the anxiety and depression raising students. Two of the biggest things. And so any way that we can work as a community to help these babies, we got to, man, because it's our future.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, man, any tidbits that you want to leave us with before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, so right now, focusing on mental health, there are some really low maintenance things that we all can do to just to take care of ourselves, and so we can be able to take care of other people. There's many, many different ways of self-care, but find something positive to focus on, whether it's reading a book, going out and playing in the garden, riding a bike. There's so many different little things that we all can do to make sure that we're taking care of our mental well-being so we can take care of our families and our students. I even shared a video on that. I'm going to do an updated video, just giving some tips on some simple things that we can do to take care of ourselves that don't cost a thing. Because right now, we don't know people's budgets and finances, but there's some things that you can do that are inexpensive to take care of our needs.
Man, I'm going to subscribe as soon as we get off, man. I think I feel like this whole conversation, man, I've been missing out, man. I see it on the LinkedIn, but I got to make sure I catch this in real time, man.
I'll see that video too.
All right, I appreciate it, man. So I just want to say thank you for touching in with us tonight, Mr. B. Please give us the information to find you one more time.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Counseling with Mr. B. So one word, counseling, WTIH. Did I spell that right? Sorry, it's been a long day.
Hey,
MRB.
Man, come on now, Counselor Mr. B, man.
Yeah.
That's it, brother. Well, like I say, I appreciate you for stopping through, giving us this info. I look forward to definitely sharing it with everyone, cutting it up, like you say, making that little short content to really drop those gems, because I know that social media, telephone use is big, and a lot of people, it's happening fast for a lot of parents. Don't really know how to wrangle it in. So anytime we can give this information, that's it, man. So looking for another symposium like this toward the end of the month for just men. So look for me to be reaching out, Mr. B.
I would love to. I really enjoy using my platform to share information that I know, my expertise, my skills, so I can uplift someone else so that they can share their information with their families or their staff or their community. So I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. Thank you for being with me through the tech issues.
We good.
Yeah,
all right.
This was good. This is a good conversation.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Mr. B. All right, y'all. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV. KTTV.
KTTV.
KTTV.